Yes, people. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Saeed TV. This is Super Sunday, man. Where would you want to be on a Sunday than here on Saeed TV with the lads talking all things football? And boy, do we have to get through a lot today. We got my favorite Arsenal brother, you know what I'm saying, from Toronto, but he's holding that Arsenal pack. You get me? What are you saying there, Igal? What are you saying?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. The way you pronounce it, Toronto, you literally pronounce it like a regular.
Come on, man. That's what you know what I'm saying. Like we got some Toronto people in the building, you know what I'm saying, in my channel. So big up to everyone, man. But nah, man, good to see you on the channel, man. We got man like Goonie in the building. I see the man NFC is in full effect. You know what I'm saying to you? What are you saying, man?
What am I saying? Oh, Eagle, do you know what that's worth? Kai Havertz is the best.
Wow.
That's how I feel right now. I feel released from the shackles, fam. You get me? I feel good. 65 M's. Hey, don't think you're getting off as well, Saeed. Yeah.
What?
With the Mason Mount Rangers and
No, he didn't do anything bad, man. No. Let's not do that. Mason Mount did not have a stinker. You know what I'm saying to you? Havertz is in his own lane, man. You know what I'm saying to you? So don't put us together.
Let me bring my feet back down to earth. You know what it is? In all honesty, it just feels good to consistently see Chelsea score more than one goal a game. I'm in fucking tears. And it's just incredible. So yeah, the excitement boiled over. Sorry, you go. Sorry, Saeed, but I'm just gassed right now.
Yeah,
it's preseason.
No, I hear you. Preseason, yeah. Come on, we got Rums in the building. Back, you get me in the flesh. Yeah. It's good to see you, my bro.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure every time, man. But yeah, ready to just chop up the news. I just want to sign Lavia now. We're doing this global thing. Just pay the money, but we'll get into it later. But big up Sean, big up Goonie, big up Egal, big up yourself, Saeed, man.
Yeah, man. Now, big up to you, man. And it's Sean. Welcome to the channel, mate. Tottenham fan. Let them know what you do. Give us a bit of intro if people haven't met you before.
Oh wow. Yeah. Tottenham channel, Spurs talk show. I sort of do a little bit differently. I take my dog for walks every day, and I talk about whatever's in the news. So like, I live in the countryside, so it's a little bit of like ambiance in the background to take people's mind off my kind of boring voice. And then on top of that, all the Tottenham stuff, I also do. I got like a background in finance, so I spend a lot of time looking into the kind of the stuff a little step above the on the pitch things, whatever's happening in the world of football, FFP, takeovers, that sort of stuff. I dive into that stuff with a bit more of a fine tooth comb as well. So thanks for inviting me on, my man.
No, absolutely, man. Big up to you, man. Obviously, George has gone on holiday, so nice one for slotting in, man. But listen, we only got to start with the Kai Havertz meltdown yesterday on social media. Igal, talk to me, man. Like, I feel like there was a couple of people I seen, Guna Lee, a lot of people kind of like not regretting signing, but like there's a feeling like, oh, where does this guy actually fit? Like, what is his role? What are you doing? Like, you know, Arteta talking about it will work after 40 games and whatnot, but yeah, man, Havertz, man, talk to me.
You know what? You can be skeptical of a signing, but when you actually see the players starting to play, and especially when they play their first game of like 55 minutes together as a midfield, you're going to have moments where there's going to be issues. And a lot of people are worried. There is a little bit of a meltdown, but in the same breath, the same people who are having the meltdowns are saying to themselves, it's preseason. Hopefully he can show me more. So I'm not saying everyone's writing him off, but if you are skeptical, you are going to be somewhat vindicated based off a couple performances in preseason. But in the same breath, if he starts the season and starts scoring goals, are you all of a sudden going to say he's the best attacking left 8 in the league? No. So I think it's a little bit it's right to be worried, but at the same time, let's not go overboard and start saying the signing was a waste of money and everything. I think that's too far.
Listen, I don't know, man. You know what it is for me, yeah? With the Kai Havertz signing, it's where you guys are playing him. Like, I don't see it working in that left centre mid with Odegaard and Declan Rice. Bro, like, he isn't that guy. Like, he's probably someone who is better off playing in maybe in the kind of 10 stroke, second striker stroke, that kind of CF position. Like, Goody, man, like, when you see him playing there, like, are you like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, don't experiment with this guy here, like, Havertz. Xhaka.
You'll be very surprised at my answer. Is I actually have some kind of sympathy for Arteta because this is the Havertz sequel in the Premier League. We've been doing the same thing. You're following the same blueprint. Lampard, in the first stint round, played him at that number 8 position. Looked all right. Didn't do enough to convince me. Then pushed him more further up. Had some patches, some inconsistency. I, to this day, do not know what this guy's best role is. I have no idea. I've seen him play as a number 10 and be given the creative output license. I haven't seen him perform it very well. I've seen him have that role as the false 9. I've seen him have some good games playing there. But for Arsenal, would he be the best option going down that middle? Absolutely not. So where does that leave him? So, like, this isn't even me bantering, bro. I just don't understand Kai Havertz, bro. I don't get it, bro. I felt like the Premier League ain't really the place for him. I really feel that way.
I think honestly, Chelsea fans are gonna feel like the happiest people on the planet every time he performs bad. But the reality is, it's just preseason, bro. Like, I get it that we want to do the microanalyzation of everything, but these three have only played together 55 minutes. Mikel Arteta said it himself. When these guys play the equivalent to the games that they've had minutes today, say 50 plus games, you're gonna have a completely different cohesiveness, completely different connection. It's not a surprise that you're gonna see a midfield three that's never played together struggle. Like, I know Manchester United's midfield three probably didn't play together either, but the level of physicality they showed, I want to give some credit to United. They came on and they showed some level of physicality and they pressed us. You want to know something? I didn't actually pay attention to him. I know you guys are saying he was like a starlet, but to me it was more.
What game were you watching? Because he outdone Declan Rice. So I don't know what game you were watching, because I see Kobe Mino show Declan Rice a little bit of levels there.
He looked so comfortable.
He did. He looked good.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? 18 years old.
He did look good, but guess what? Our 18-year-old looked good against in our previous preseason game. It doesn't necessarily mean these guys are going to get a lot of minutes during the season. This is preseason at the end of the day.
But you know what?
You know what? Go on, Rums. Go on, Rums.
Just before you go, I'm saying you can back this up. I think Mino, he's not going to start and whatnot, but he's going to get minutes in the FA Cup, Carabao, and maybe last 10 minutes of a Premier League game. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Agal, Ten Hag's come out and said he doesn't want to. Knowing most young players, you then you might go on 2 or 3 loans to gain that experience, whatnot. Apparently, Ten Hag has said, no, this is one player I'm not loaning out. So I think he actually trusts him and he rates him quite highly. So you could see Mino make his breakthrough year.
No, but I'm just saying, as an Arsenal fan, I'm not taking in individual performances of the opponent. You know what I mean? I don't. I feel like I'm so focused on so many different parts of my own team's game. Like, I'm taking in Timber's debut. Game against a quality team. I'm taking in Declan Rice. I'm taking in Havertz's situation. I'm looking at Eddie Nketiah stinking it up at the top, and I already have so many things to focus on my own squad that it's like I don't feel like any Man United player jumped out of the page besides the 2 goal scorers. And I'll even say, I'll look at the midfield and I'll say Anthony did well connecting on that right side. And of course, Maino was around, but like, I didn't really pay too much attention to him as an individual. I seen so much people talking about him after the game. I'm like, it's a combination of the fact that he's an academy kid. He played well, and you can't say he did anything wrong.
I think for you guys though, Igor, what was clear to me, obviously it is a preseason friendly, so take of it what you will. But I just felt like it shows that you guys are not ready to sell Thomas Partey just yet. I feel like you must be
without a doubt, man.
Yeah, because look, Declan Rice, regardless of what he's shown, he's just walked in through the door. So whatever happens here, he's got a grace period. You know what I mean? So even me, I'm not really paying too much attention to the recent performances, but Thomas Partey, when he came on, it almost as if he nullified the chances for Manchester United. Chances came far and few between for you guys. So I think holding on to him is a very important thing for you this summer. And it looks like you're
keeping Thomas Partey. Sorry, keeping Thomas Partey is the difference between you finishing 2nd or 6th, in my opinion. I was just about to say, I think you're under. If you're confident, Igal, that Kai Havertz, like this idea that no one really knows where Kai Havertz's best position is. when you're playing with the specific formation that Arteta wants to play, you need to have the specific players in the specific roles that know and understand the requirements. And you've already rolled the dice with Declan Rice, moving from a team that wasn't a possession-based team and asking him to play with 70% possession rather than 30% at the price tag with the pressure that's on his shoulders. That's enough of a gamble in and of itself. To spend 70 million on Havertz and to sit there and say, oh, no, I mean, I think we all agree, like, no one really understands where he plays, where he's at his best. And I think at this level, if Thomas Partey leaves your club this summer, there's so many question marks around that midfield. And your midfield was the difference between what happened to you last season and another season of kind of mediocrity.
I fully agree with you. And I'm just going to caveat by saying I always wanted Partey or Xhaka, one of them, to stay. I didn't want us to break that apart. I always viewed it as a gamble, but it's a gamble and Mikel Arteta is willing to take to age-proof the squad. Now, the second point is he's clearly come out and said that Mikel Arteta is not going to lose Thomas Partey this window. He views Rice, Partey, and Jorginho as quality players that can play in that position. And he says our squad depth there is amazing. He doesn't want to get weaker come the end of the transfer window. So unless something like somebody else is being sold, I don't view Partey as one of the people who are going to be leaving this transfer window. That is not happening.
He better not leave.
You guys say.
Just to add on to what Sean says, the reason, look, we don't know, and I don't try and concentrate on preseason too much because we've seen City lost the Community Shield against us last season, going to win a treble. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gal. The Invincibles team, their preseason was poor, then they went off to do that. So I don't want to concentrate on preseason too much. But for me, the reason why it's looking a bit scary for Havertz is because we know Arteta likes to sign players that plays in many positions, right? And
exactly
right now he's playing in that left 8 role, right? For me, ESR came on and showed more hunger, and he's got a point to prove. And then you think, cool, he can play he can play false 9. But then you've got Eddie, Balogun, and Jesus ahead of him in that department. Then you think, cool, he can play out wide. You've got Martin on the left. You've got Martinelli and Trossard. And Trossard's also being trialed and tested in the middle now.
In the left 8.
Ahead of him. And then you've got the right, Saka and Nelson ahead of him. So it's like, cool. He can't stake his claim in any position because even if you try and shuffle him around, there's about 2-3 players ahead of him in each position. So it's that Havertz, unfortunately for him, he has to hit the ground running in the position he's playing, in my opinion, because elsewhere he's not going to get in ahead of. And this is actually testament to Arteta and Arsenal because you've got many players that can play in other positions, but they're just ahead of him, in my opinion.
Can I tell you something? Our Arsenal fans that are worried, they have the right to be worried, and 100%. Based off the players' performances at Chelsea, there is a level of understanding why people are worried, right? Now,
that's more so why, Igal, is because he's come from Chelsea, been shit at Chelsea, and then you're almost experimenting in a position where you can't experiment. In that middle of the park, you're not only going to, it's a detriment to Declan Rice, but it's also a detriment to that midfield balance that you had so well last season. Replacing Xhaka, and then now all of a sudden, Partey might be leaving. That's why Arsenal fans are worried, because they're like, hold on a minute, we're supposed to be getting better, not actually getting worse. You know what I mean? And that's where the issue is.
With Xhaka leaving, we have a massive hole in our squad on that left 8 position, even if Partey starts. So Declan Rice, if you view it this way, Partey stays. Nothing else changes in our midfield come the end of the window, and just other defenders and attackers leave, like some of the fringe players. We will have a situation where we've actually replaced Xhaka with with what do you call it? Forget about Jorginho. With Rice and Havertz.
Jorginho's still a signing.
You tell me. You guys view.
I'm still not sure you're stronger, mate. I'm still not sure you're stronger. It was going to be nearly impossible for Arsenal to strengthen on their midfield, losing with Odegaard, Xhaka, and Partey. If Xhaka leaves,
I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy to say you now have a midfield that has more depth, that has different bodies. Yes, it's not the exact same profile.
Depth is not equivalent to quality, though, is it? Like,
no, you can have balance as well.
Quality.
But Rice and Havertz are quality. We wouldn't spend 170 million on 2 dead players.
Rice is, but would you at least acknowledge that there's a question mark over his, like, there's going to be the pressure on his head to live up to the price tag. How many players have we seen? And he's not responsible for the price tag, but how many players have we seen that have moved to bigger clubs with bigger price tags and then struggle to acclimate initially, especially when the system that they're asked to play is alien to them. The amount of time on the ball is alien to them. And the role and the responsibility and the leadership thing is different. Like, I'm not saying that he can't do it. He's good enough, and I think he's smart enough, and he probably will adapt. But there's going to be that period where you need to acclimate, and that if it takes him 2-3 months, you could be dropping points in that first quarter of the season.
Understand, we have Partey here that can still play that lone 6. So it allows the transition to be smoother. Everyone here just said how important it is to keep Partey. We're keeping Partey. And this is not an opinion. Mikel Arteta himself said it from his own mouth. Partey's here to stay. And he said, we're not trying to get weaker. So people were saying this is an opinion. It's not an opinion. He clearly said that verbatim. And second of all, I do think we have strengthened. To say we haven't strengthened is crazy to me. Because Xhaka...
No. Xhaka strengthened.
So we have strengthened. Now, a team that finished second last season, yes, we're not going to play the exact same style, but Pep didn't play the exact same style this season. Pep never, every single year you evolve as a team, and we have to evolve. I hear your points. There is criticisms, there is skepticism, but the reality is it's too early to write off anything. And what you said earlier about Arsenal could potentially finish 6th without Thomas Partey, I think that's too much of a stretch. Even without Partey, we still finish top 4 easy. This whole thing that we're falling off a cliff is crazy.
Ego, bro, listen, you see when you're playing without that number 6 that can hold his position, bruv, the difference is a very fine margin. So I wouldn't really say that, especially in the Premier League as well. Bro, one season you can be top 4, next season you can finish 12th. Yeah, you're looking at him right now. You see what I'm saying? But I think for me, the more the conversation it's about the balance, because I believe that Arsenal do have the balance in the midfield. But this Kai Havertz thing is put in a bit of a conundrum, because for me, how I would look at it, your strongest midfield 3 would be Declan Rice, Thomas Partey next to him in a pivot, and spearheading that pivot would be Odegaard. Now the question is, where does Havertz go? Because he's not going to start in front of any of the wingers or one of the strikers. He's not going to do that. Yeah. So that's a bit of the conundrum. The balance is there, but it's just you've spent 65 million or however much on this player. Can you afford, or will your manager be strong enough to sit him down on the bench to rotate? Because I personally don't think Havertz is a better option than...
There's nothing wrong with that.
Do you know what it is as well? If this is expectation, if this was Arsenal 3-4 years ago and they signed a Rice or Havertz, I think fans will be more patient, but it's the fact that you're trying to go one better. It's the fact that you're challengers now. So fans will be less patient. And there's context to it, coming directly from Chelsea arrival, the price tag, wages, all that do come into it as well. But I think it's expectation. The fact Arsenal fans, you ask all of them, your number 1 goal this season is to win the league. The fact that Arteta's kind of and ahhing, and there's no real place for Havertz. Yeah. Like you said, Gal, there's still time. This is pre-season. If he starts off the season and scores out 5 goals in his first 8 games, then I think it will silence the doubts a bit more. But as it stands, we're only going off what we can go off the last 2-3 games. It does look that there's no real place for him. And yeah, with your expectations, it could be worrying from an Arsenal fan's point of view.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am worried. But the reality is, I trust my manager, and the fact that we have Thomas Partey, we can still play a stronger 11 without Havertz in there. So that's me being 100% real. And the reason why I trust him is because he's gotten better out of players that we didn't really think were that level of quality. Yeah. Anybody here think Ben White going in playing right back the whole season would be as good as he was?
Definitely
nobody did.
Yeah. And seeing the app, big up to you, my guy. Respect it, Gal, for showing up on the Malt stream, win or lose. Most of your takes are a bit deluded, but respect. Question: you think Balogun gets a fair shot? See, he didn't play yesterday, did he? Didn't even get a feature yesterday. Did he not play, or was it?
No, he came out afterwards. He came out afterwards and said that there's certain players that didn't get an opportunity, and they're gonna get an opportunity versus Barcelona as long as the game goes ahead. Because if you don't know, Barcelona didn't play against Juventus because of Lasagna Gate Type 2.
Swear.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. Yeah. They didn't play because the whole squad got lasagna. Basically got food poisoning. But you know what, guys? Big up to everybody who's here. There's 1.5k in the building. Please hit the like button. You know what I mean? Right now we should be at least 700 likes. So if you're not liking the video, then you're up in it, man. So listen, AJ, big up my guy AJ. He said we need to chat about Ramsdale. Listen, you know Ramsdale, yeah. Let me ask you a question, yeah. People talk about his kicking, yeah. And people, talk about his distribution. And there was all this notion that oh, he's got better distribution than David De Gea. I was like, all right, cool. But the more I watch him, yeah, and I look at him, why does he always panic, yeah, when he's under pressure and teams press him, yeah? Every single time he hoofs the ball, and every single time his distribution isn't that great. Yes, maybe in terms of passing through the lines, I think he's very, very good in that aspect. But when he's under pressure, he panics, man. I don't know what you guys, and there was a couple of Arsenal fans that would say, you know what, man, Ramsdale needs to do better. Does he need competition? But does anybody see it, Sean? Do you see elements in that game from Ramsdale, or do you think we're being overcritical here?
A little from column A, a little from column B. I think Ramsdale's a fantastic goalkeeper. I think he's a brilliant shot stopper. I think he kept Arsenal in so many games last season. He saved you guys maybe, I don't know, 9 points, 10 points that could have gone other ways, you know, with last minute saves. I think he's an absolutely phenomenal goalkeeper. So I'm not criticizing him. However, I definitely have got that vibe occasionally. Maybe not so much last season when everything was going well. But I remember the season before. I remember like games on Newcastle away you guys played. I think he had a bit of a howler there. When the pressure's on, I take your point side. I do think when the pressure's on, he has got a little bit of history with fumbling the moment. And so like when everything's going well, if everything in the team is gelling and he's a confidence keeper, then, you know, it's a beautiful thing to see. He really is a great goalkeeper. However, you need your goalkeeper to be, and listen, I experienced Hugo Lloris last season, who probably cost us 15 points from sloppy mistakes when his confidence dropped. So I know firsthand what it's like to have a goalkeeper who has that propensity to drop the ball when, you know, in the key moments. And I don't think we're there anything like that with Ramsdale, but it's something to keep an eye on for sure. There's a couple of times now that we've seen him make mistakes that are unnecessary, and he doesn't like it when the pressure's on. So yeah, maybe Arsenal need to find a way to protect him from those environments as much as possible.
Okay, this is when people are going to make fun of me and call me deluded again, but Ramsdale's 25 years old and he has the capability to be one of the best keepers in the future. We're judging him on standards in comparison to people who are 3, 4, 5, even 6 years his senior. When you look at Ederson, Alisson, and some of the best keepers in the league, even Pickford and Pope, who are much more older than him in the grand scheme of things. So wait, I don't know how old Pickford is, but I know Pope is like almost.
No, Pickford's old. He's about 31, 30.
Yeah,
I
think
it's future's a bit too much because he's 25. I mean, we want to see this part of his game be matured by now. I think he's young in terms of a keeper, but in terms of him learning the attributes of what needs to be done, I still think you still have to have it or you don't. Like David De Gea was never going to be comfortable on the ball or whatever. And I think with Ramsdale, I feel like these kind of little things that we're noticing, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's arrogance. I don't know if it's just his own way. I don't know, man. Does he think he's better than what he is?
How old was De Gea when he joined United?
He joined us, I think it was about 19, 20, you know. He came in young. He came in young, man.
So he had how many seasons at your club?
About, 13, 14? So he was there for 13 years.
Okay, so
Gal, this idea that goalkeepers mature later, just quickly, this idea that goalkeepers mature later, like that's a reasonable excuse if they've started getting into the first team later as well. Like if they've been playing in the first team from the age of 20, 21, then they've had as much experience as any other player.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't this idea that they can like we're going to give them patience until they're 28. You wouldn't offer an outfield player the same thing. It's only becomes more relevant with goalkeepers because goalkeepers don't always make it into the first team until they're a little bit later on. So I don't think that you can give that same like levity towards
I feel
Ramsdale or other goalkeepers.
No, I feel like that's actually wrong. I feel like goalkeepers mature as they get older. They get better at knowing their positioning. They get better at knowing when to do things because they've dealt with that situation before. So, for example, you get in so many different situations as a goalkeeper that you now know what is the best way to stop a chance from this angle. What's the best way to stop a chance when you have this many people in front of you and you have the guy coming towards you from this angle?
Well, why does that take 7 years for a goalkeeper?
No, I'm not saying it takes 7 years. I'm saying goalkeepers become better in situational one-on-ones, overall goalkeeping strengths. You become better with age. It's not a thing where you diminish with age. For example, outfield players, their pace goes, their ability to run around as much goes down.
You think Alisson and Ederson? Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
I'm saying goalkeepers get better with age. It's not a situation. It's not rocket science.
No, but Ramsdale, I think Ederson and Alisson, they've just been good. Like, I don't think they've got better with age. Like, I just think they've been quality. People don't know what they're about, and they just are good. That's why I just think it is. I don't think it's got better with age.
Just to go off what Sean said, how he opened up about Ramsdale. I agree with him. Like, I rate Ramsdale. I think he's a good keeper. He'll be England. For me, he should be England's number one now ahead of Pickford, but he eventually will be England's number one. But I just feel, again, where there's last season, like Sean said, he saved from 9. I think saved Arsenal about 9-10 points, especially at Anfield. If it wasn't for him, we win that game.
Yeah. 100%.
But I just feel, if let's say this season goes by again and you don't win, I even think FA Cup or Carabao wouldn't even do the trick. If you don't win any of the big two, right, I just feel Arsenal fans are eventually going to lose patience with him, especially if he kind of fumbles in high pressure moments. Because I spoke to a few Arsenal fans myself, and they believe you can't win either of the big two with him. They feel that's an area soon you're going to have to upgrade on, which I think is a bit too premature to say that. I still think Ramsdale needs another season or two to prove himself in high-pressure situations, title run-ins, latter stage of Champions League. I think he merits that off the back of last season. But I do get the idea of when there's high-pressure moments and there's been big games, there's sometimes Ramsdale does things in a game and she's like, why did you do that? And it kind of transmits to the rest of the team. So I think he warrants more time, but I feel this is an area in your team where if in the next 2-3 years you haven't won anything, I do think fans will get impatient and look to upgrade in that position. I do feel that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I want to move on from Arsenal anyway, man. So big up to everybody who's been watching. 1.6K now, still rising. So big up to everybody here locked in. Keep hitting the like button and make sure you subscribe to everyone's channels as well, man. The links are in the description below. 20 Hardaway says, just happy we left with no injuries. MetLife Stadium has ruined my athletics career with that awful play surface. Yo, listen, that was awful, man. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know, man. And you know, American sports and whatnot, they normally invest well in the stadiums, but it looks like it's just been overused and they've not really, redefined the grass and whatnot. So it is what it is, man. But I want to move over to Chelsea, man. Yo, listen, man, Chelsea's really on it this year, man. I'm seeing that kid, Jackson guy up front. I'm hearing you bought another player, another forward you bought. Who's this guy? You know, there's a guy here on this channel here that kept saying this guy's name every single time, Elia Wahi. And I don't know who that guy is.
Eli
Maybe
Wahi.
you're known. Elia Wahi, yeah. There's a guy on this channel, someone who comments on this channel. He keeps saying, yo, have you heard about this forward from Montpellier called Elia Wahi? And I was like, bro, man, I don't know who this guy is, man. Like, allow it, innit? Like,
the guy's got I was following him last season. I think he got 26 goals, right, in all comps, but he got it from, I'm not sure if you guys are stat merchants or not, but he got his 25 goals from 13 XG or 14 XG. The guy's got like dexterity in his groin to be able to get his limbs up here and up here, like to be able to whip the ball in. Like, the guy's fun, like he's got unbelievable athleticism. It's mad, but the guy's got a weird history. I don't want to say it. I know
what you mean. Yeah. It's a bit of a sticky case. I can't lie, but yeah, listen. Obviously, that will probably sort itself out. But they've sent him back out on loan. Is he going back to Montpellier or is he going to Strasbourg?
Well, first of all, it's I don't even know if it's official. If it is, it's very much news to me.
Well,
but I know that we're in advance.
Advanced agreements Fabrizio mentioned there.
So the plan is with Eli is we're going to be sending him to Strasbourg and loaning him out there for a season and then bringing him on to Chelsea to perhaps, kick on and develop. But I think the player isn't too keen on that. So there may be a possibility that he will stay at Chelsea or it might just be the original plan. Honestly, I couldn't tell you at this stage, bruv.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. But another
forward, real talent, though.
Real talent. Yeah, another forward. You man, like, you know what? In terms of the talent you guys are producing now, in terms of what you bought, it's crazy, man. Like, it's a project there. Like, I don't know. Obviously, you man are buying players, but the amount of forwards you've now got in Cuckoo, Jackson, Fofana's out on loan. Who else? Sterling, Mudryk,
Broya.
Who else? Hey,
Broya.
There's one more, I think, isn't it? Or is that it? I don't see
Madueke.
Now, Madueke. Any more? Yeah, what's that kid? Is he Matson? Is that a winger, Matson?
He's a left back by trade, but he can play on the wing as well.
Angelo, is he a forward as
Man
well?
said his name like he's Angelo.
Yeah, Angelo, yeah.
He's a winger. He's a winger.
Bro, you got hella forwards, And now I'm not saying he's a forward, but you link with Gabri, Viega, and you're linked with what do you call it? Kudus.
Kudus,
Sorry?
yeah.
We're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna sign.
Well, you can't possibly get both, or even one more. How? Listen, someone who spends his entire day and night in the finance world trying to figure out FFP for content. I have absolutely no idea how it is that Chelsea, with the net spend that they finished up with last year, and then what you've done so far this year. Look, fair play to you for getting blood from a stone for players like Havertz and Mason Mount and stuff. And obviously, Saudi Arabia's come along like the blessing that no one knew was gonna
probably save your club.
But you're still net like 500 million in the hole for what you spent over the last 24 months. If you're going to go out and get Viega or Kudus, then I don't know what to say. It just doesn't make any sense. The rules don't seem to matter anymore. I'm not a hater. I respect it, but I just don't get it. I don't know how you could possibly find the money to once again lay out that sort of money for another one of these superstars. It's crazy to me.
Really,
they sold a lot of players.
Are the Turkey links still strong? The Ryan from Leon.
Well, I imagine if we sign Kudus, we're not going to sign Turkey. But I know that Chelsea have followed Turkey for even before Todd Bowley got there. And to answer my man's questions is, I hear you, but we've also got a lot out off the books. And remember, a lot of those players that we got off the books were above the wage structure that we're trying to implement now. So without Champions League football, Europa League football, there's only a certain amount that the players can earn. Once they get back into top 4, there are bonuses that are triggered that gets them up to the more higher wages. So you see what I'm saying? So we've actually, from all the players that we've sold, we've got 2 million off the books in terms of wages. So
and
there is
free as well.
So there is a lot of space and maneuver.
Yeah, but that should be not to get into the financial stuff. I'm sure it's boring for most people, but
better
when the rules are like. You get at the moment, it's the first of a 3-year transition, and 90% of your club's revenue is the limit what you can spend on the combination of salaries and agents' fees and transfer fees. And over the last 2 years, you're on a net 600. That way, knocking 2 million off 2 million a week or whatever it is a month off of the books, you annualize that out. It still doesn't really make a dent. I'm sure these guys, I'm sure your team have got the best accountants in the world, right? So I'm not suggesting that there's anything fishy, but I just find it mind-boggling if you can continue to do it, but make space for one of these other two. It's crazy.
There's also the fact that we're spreading out payments through long contracts, 7-8 year contracts. I'm not
loophole. They got loopholes in it.
Yeah, I'm not really. I have to say one thing though. I still feel like your Chelsea squad, even though Jackson played well and your boys played well in the preseason, I still feel like you lack enough quality.
100%.
I know it's preseason, and 100%. I know you guys look good, but goalkeeper is going to be an issue. Striker, even though Jackson looked decent, is going to be an issue. We don't know which wingers is actually going to be starting. Sterling is not showing that he's starting. Mudryk hasn't shown enough yet. On the right side, you really don't have anyone who's stamping their authority on that side either. Your midfield, you still haven't signed Caicedo. You haven't signed anybody else to back up any of your players. And an injury to Enzo or Nkunku, and you really are going to be...
What you're trying to say, Igal, is they've done a lot without doing a lot, basically. They've done a lot without doing a lot.
Talking facts,
in a sense.
He's talking facts, bro. I'm not.
All they needed to do last season was to find a way to score goals. And in your preseason, you found a way to score goals, right?
No,
yeah.
You want to know something? I feel like everything is sunshine and rainbows at Chelsea right now, but underneath the surface, you guys have to lower your expectations, because really and truly, expectations, if they're on the same level of winning a trophy, getting top 4, really and truly, you're going to be leaving yourself short at the end of the season, because going into the season, it's a big project and it could go any direction. It could skyrocket and you guys all your players could hit, or it could,
you know what's mad?
You know what is Chelsea? You know what is with Chelsea, Galdo? I agree with you. They need to do more, but I don't think they need to do as much as what people think. With that one game a week, it's not like they need to.
Yeah, they need that one midfielder for me, man.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they need to do as much as people think, but they still need to bring a player, because you're right.
Listen, Eagles talking facts on the current state of the squad as of the 23rd of July, 2023. The current state of the squad, you're talking absolute facts. There's not enough depth for me to warrant a top 4 challenge. If we get it, great. But as it stands right now, there are still massive deficiencies in this squad that need to be fixed.
It's a top 5 challenge, though, isn't it? For you guys?
Sorry?
It's a top 5 challenge, right? The rules on, correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's 5 teams. If the 5th team has got enough coefficient points, and the 5th team, and Chelsea will definitely have enough coefficient points, right? So,
but for me, I'm still not even looking at it as a top 5 team. I'm not even looking at that. I want to be
Chelsea got
comfortably in
better,
the top
man.
4. I need to be comfortably in the top 4. That's my expectations. But
you know what, though?
Go on.
Yeah, go on.
As of today, Eagle's right. But my thing is I reckon once we get some movement on that Caicedo deal, if we wrap that up, I expect to see a lot more.
That has to be this week, man.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. And I think, look, once we get Caicedo done, we will go in for Lavia. Towards the end of the window, we will go in for Diogo Costa at Porto. I reckon we're gonna go in. We are gonna go in for a lot of players. Yeah, we are.
How can you do this?
Because man, that Kepa story ain't finished, man. This is his first full season without hanging around.
No, because I have to ask all 4 of you. I've got to ask all 4 of you this question, right? And this is a similar problem to what Ramsdale's having. Where is Kepa's competition? When he gets injured, who's coming on to play? Mendy's not there no more. What did Pochettino say? Watch this. What did Pochettino say? Pochettino said, I am happy for Kepa to fight for the number 1 goalkeeper position.
Who's your number 2?
There's no number 2, so there has to be one to compete for one.
Hey, Bettinelli.
He's not. Come on, bro. Be serious, fam.
I'm joking. Nah, listen, man. Kepa, you play once a week, by the way, so you don't really need to rotate anyway, to be honest with you. But Kepa, man, this is his first full season without, Mendy hanging around now. This is guy who was touted as Spain's number 1. You know what I mean? He's only 26. Nah, but I don't know, man. The amount of Chelsea fans that used to have a go at me saying, got to give him a chance and he's better than De Gea and whatnot. Like, come on, Goody, man. You got to give him a chance, man.
Nah, I'm not no chances. He's been here
but
for
Costa's going to cost you a lot of money, though. Costa's going to cost a lot of money. He's going to cost you at least.
No. He won't. The release is 75 million euros, but Porto are willing to work around the 50 million euro mark. That's
okay.
This is why.
Still not better than Nana, but yeah.
Not sure about that.
Okay, I'll show you afterwards, but you'll see for yourself. Watch, you'll see. There's a reason why I'm talking like this, bro, and you're gonna see that we're not gonna pay the 75 million euro clause.
If Costa's over 50, why have Man United spent all summer trying to get Onana for 60?
Because they're rating better. They rate him as the better keeper. And Ten Hag works with him.
Are you
gonna get Caicedo, a goalkeeper and a striker, or is Jackson gonna be starting for you?
I think what's going to happen is we're going to end up using Nkunku for now until January as one of the number 9 options. I think that's what we'll do short term. If we sign Kudus, he'll be on number 10. If unfortunately Conor Gallagher stays, then he will have to occupy that position at times as well. So there are other options that could play there. Not that I'm a fan of it, or even Casadei. Casadei could play in that number 10 or number 8. You never know.
Casadei, Casadei hype, man.
Every time I speak,
he did well at thingy last year.
Every time when I speak about Chelsea, people say I'm a hater, but Gune, I appreciate the fact that you actually said I'm speaking facts. When it comes to the quality situation, it's a drop off from where you guys were 4 or 5 years ago.
No, 100%. But we're not. But we're still very much in a rebuild. We're not seeing anything close to the end product of our squad.
Saying that though, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Chelsea fans should be excited next year. They've got a crop of young players with attacking dynamics. I want to say I'm worried about Chelsea, but I think for me, you know what? They'll be better next season. A, with a better manager in Pochettino, they're going to be coached better. But B, their forwards now, I think there's a bit more dynamics to it now. This Jackson kid, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I like the look of him.
He's excellent.
I'm not saying
it's not.
Yeah, he's very, very good, man. Like, you know what?
Even yesterday when I was watching the goals, it's that, and Aguni will agree with this, Chelsea have lacked that instinctive finisher. The way I saw Nkunku yesterday just dispatch that, I'm thinking they've missed this. And if he could obviously stay fit and go on a run, I think you'll start seeing Chelsea. When I say I'm scared, they're obviously not competing in the league or they're not there yet. But I just mean in terms of them Champions League spots, my hot take is they get top 4. I've said this for weeks now. I just think with that one game a week, it means less games. Yeah. In my opinion, is less injury. Poch's track record with younger players.
That's exactly it.
I agree, mate. I agree. I was saying on my channel, like to the Tottenham guys, predicting what do we do in a world where Harry Kane leaves. I was doing this back in April. I was like, don't sleep on Nico Jackson. This guy he's available for 28, 30 million, whatever it is, euros.
So you're ahead of the curve. You already knew about him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I was aware of him. Yeah. I think the guy's an absolute talent. I genuinely think that if injuries aren't a problem, I think he might actually steal a march ahead of Nkunku. I think he's such a good player. I don't know why there was no competition for his signature. I got no idea why everyone just allowed. Chelsea even had this problem where they couldn't sign him until the 1st of July because of the end of your financial year. You couldn't go and pay the fee because the fee had to be paid up front. And I'm sitting there in like the middle of June going, why can't Tottenham or anybody else, why is there nobody that's going there saying, okay, we'll give you the money now. We'll gazump Chelsea and get ahead of the curve. Opportunity costs, right? But no one did. And you got an absolute baller for, what did you pay? 30 million euros for him. I think you got an absolute baller.
Something like that. Relatively respectable price.
I think it's class.
Yeah. It's a massive gamble, though. It's his. I think last season was his actual breakthrough in top flight football. So for Chelsea to actually scout that, if he hits the ground running, that's some world class scouting, in my opinion.
You know what I would compare Chelsea to? I would compare Chelsea to like
crazy.
I think Todd Bowley is doing similar to what he would do in a North American franchise. He's acquiring as much young talent. So whatever bangs, whatever doesn't, he just goes and gives them to Strasbourg.
It looks like that's the strategy that we're taking, man. And I feel, but although with that, I still feel we need
by the way,
more senior players.
Gusto, mate. Reece James better be on his heels, Gusto. Listen, my mate Nuruddin has been talking about Gusto for a while, and I was like, let me see a bits of him and whatnot. And in preseason, what I've seen right now, he's strong, he's quick, he's up and down that touchline. Reece James better be ready now because finally he's got competition. Azpilicueta was on his, he was on his pencil. Exactly. You know what I mean?
You know who we need
Gusto.
Do you know, in my opinion, who we need to not really sleep on? And I know last season he didn't necessarily hit the ground running. I'm not just saying this because of his goal yesterday, but Mykhailo Mudryk, because when he came in the team, I saw his debut against us, that 20-minute cameo, and I said, there's a player here. It's no coincidence that Arteta wanted him and Chelsea suited him. Two big clubs going for the same.
And Real Madrid as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And when I saw that cameo, I said, there's a player. And then obviously he's in and out the team, confidence issues. I think he even went away with under 21s. Ukraine did quite well, I think. They got to quarters or semi.
Yeah.
I think to get confidence and more minutes, because when you're in and out the team, you can't really get a great deal of fitness because you don't know when you're playing and then you're plucked out. Then you're very sporadic in the team. I think he was trialed and tested in a few different positions as well. But I think now he's got his first preseason under his belt, new manager, a manager that's good at developing young players and specifically even wide players at Spurs. I think Mudryk's going to have maybe not an amazing season, but a respectable one. The memes will stop and all that. I think he'll do well this year. I think people.
The memes will be here. The memes, guys. The memes are just relentless, isn't it? They'll be there even if it's a 20-minute cameo, man. I think social media is ruthless, man. They're ready for it, man. You get me? But guys, there's 2,000 people in here. This is a record number for the show as well. Super Sunday. So I appreciate everybody watching right now. But if there isn't now, I'm gonna scrap 500 likes. I'm gonna say 1,000 likes because 500 is taking a piss. You guys, at least 1,000 likes right now, people. Hit that like button and make sure you're following everybody's channels, man. The links are in the description. Sasko says here, we need to have a Lamps season again. We have these young players, give them a chance to play. These kids need someone to believe in them, trust them. Yeah, listen, that's what Pochettino will do for you guys. Big up Saeed Ali Gal. Thoughts on that crowd yesterday for friendly? Crazy how Premier League and clubs are there. Wished we won, not gonna lie. Bro, there's a big fight there, man. And one of my guys, Staffy. Yeah, Staffy. Big up to Staffy, man. The guy ran into the Arsenal fans and started celebrating their faces. I said, yo, if you did that in England, bro, I don't know if you'd be alive.
Yeah, it's game over for you. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Game over.
I'll tell you this.
The game in New Jersey.
Yesterday's crowd showed you why they do preseason friendlies in America and stuff. Because if this preseason game was in the UK, it would not attract anywhere near that kind of crowd.
No, I don't think so.
And the ticket prices that they're paying for those games, bro, some of them are paying
$150.
$300
Hey, Gal, mate, I lived in New Jersey for 2.5 years. Shout out to Jersey City. And the guys over there, they're rough. They love a fight. Any sport, doesn't matter what's going on. People just like a few beers.
They're not even fighting about Arsenal. I bet you they're fighting about.
they're just bruisers, bro. They're bruisers. They just like a scrap, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, they do, man. Every
if
time
you guys think they're fighting about Mikel Arteta and Kai Havertz, you've lost it, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, listen, I don't know. After that stinker yesterday, I don't know, man. You can't rule it out. You know what I mean?
Man said he paid $600 for that ticket.
Mental.
Yeah.
600. Jeez, man. Big up to you, JB, man. Listen, man. Enjoy it, man. It's because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, man. So don't worry about the money, man. It's about the memories, man. Yeah, it's your team, man. Big up to Shabazz. A Fabinho deal will happen, but currently his pet French bulldogs aren't permitted to enter Saudi if the deal falls through because of his dog. I swear, FFS. What?
That's really true.
I've not heard of that.
You allow dogs in Saudi Arabia, man. Animals are allowed, but animals
you're
are allowed.
You're allowed to have a guard dog and pet dogs.
Yes, I'm saying. So I don't know, man. That's a bit of a mad one as well. But listen, people, I want to just kind of go on a side note before I move on to Liverpool. I don't know if you guys know what's going on at Fulham, but it's been a bit of a madness going on at Fulham, yeah? So Raul Jimenez has joined Fulham for 5.5 million deal from Wolves, which I think is a bit of a shit deal, man. I don't really rate him anymore. Since the injury, no disrespect, but he's not been the same player. Marco Silva has rejected, guess this, a 40 million euro 2-year deal from Al Hilal. So he's actually rejected that deal. Alexander Mitrovic is still pushing to join Al Hilal, and Salisu and Calvin Bassey from the Rangers as well, and with Southampton deals to go to Fulham. But man, Fulham, listen, fair play to him though for choosing to stay in the Premier League and being loyal. But anyone rejecting that 40 million euro
madness,
per
season? Madness.
It's mad. Nah.
If Fulham lose Palhinha this summer, I don't know what the right number is. If Fulham put in 90 million on him, like obviously the right price is probably with a 5 handle, 50 something, maybe 60, whatever. But if they lose him and they lose Mitrovic, and they bring in the fella from Wolves, like I think
you're saying relegation.
I think you could make an argument. I don't know if we can like talk about bets or whatever.
No, 100%.
I'm a betting man. I want to know what the odds are on Luton to go down alongside Fulham and Wolves. I think that's a bit of a crazy one, but I think that those 3 clubs will really struggle this season, you know.
Oh, I still think Sheffield United will still be in there. I'm still putting Sheffield United, who's that other Luton Town, and then one surprise, and Fulham could be if they lose Mitrovic. I need Mitrovic and replace him with Jimenez.
Wolves are broke.
Last time Jimenez even scored double digits for Fulham.
You know what, Sean? I think if they lose Paulina and Mitrovic, I think they'll be in a relegation scrap, but I think the quality of their manager just keeps them up.
If he goes as well, I know the current story is he's rejected it. But at some point, someone's going to tap him on the shoulder. If it's 45 million, at some point, you got to think about the generations of your family to come. Yeah. Like, there's logic to it. Yeah. Right? Of course, you're going to go. And if they lose the manager as well, I don't think Fulham are going to replace the players that they're going to lose. I also think Wolves got no money. Right, they've got no money at all. Lopetegui, I don't know. Is he still there or has he moved? Has he left because he's not getting back?
Oh, no, he's at Wolves. He was about to leave, but I think what happened was, he ended up saying that the financial troubles, because they have FFP issues.
Yeah,
Wolves,
they've got no money.
Which is a bit of a, yeah. So Wolves, you know what? That could be a situation. They lost their big defender as well, Nathan Collins, to Brentford,
and Ruben Neves. And Neves has gone as well.
Ruben Neves, Martinez's left as well. So they've lost a lot of mid. You know what? I don't know, man. Maybe Sean's got a point there, man. I can't lie to you. Guess what? As well. Crystal Palace, Zaha's gone to Galatasaray. I don't know if you guys have seen that as well. He's going to Galatasaray, man. I'll show you the confirmation of that right now. But yeah, man, that's crazy. Zaha is on his way to Galatasaray. I'll show you.
Everywhere he could have went. But Palace are calm. They got Eze and Elise, so they're calm, bro.
They're calm.
Palace, even maybe, what is he, 30 now? 29, 30? Even maybe a move to Saudi probably would have made a bit more.
Crystal Palace have offered a deal. They've offered a deal It's not done yet. It's in process. It's in process. I do have to stress that it's in process, but I think this will be done. They got Champions League football as well, man. You know what it is? Yeah, we underestimate Turkish football. You know, like
no, they have to qualify.
Oh, they have to qualify. Oh, sorry. Okay, then they have to qualify, which you know
That
what I
would
mean.
make sense.
They will do. But
they do.
But you know, Turkish football's serious, man. You know, man, don't realize how passionate they are, man. There's been Drogba's been there, Schneider's been over there, Galatasaray. There's been some ballers like people forget about like Turkish football and Saudi Arabian football. Turkish football are the originators. They man used to have all the ballers in there. You know what I mean? Van Persie went there. Who else
And
has been there?
They got more money. Some of those bigger clubs, they got more
see-
money than you think. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but Besiktas have got something like the 10th highest ever stadium naming rights deal by some Turkish, like a Vodafone or whatever, like a telecoms company. They got more money going into that league than you give it credit for. Maybe with the earthquakes and things that happen there, maybe their economies are a bit in trouble right now. But generally speaking, they're wealthier than you would imagine. The big clubs in that league. Sorry, you go.
They're in
Yeah.
the Champions League also, so it's like you can't really compare. I think that's Saudi Arabia's plan though to get into the Champions League. But when it comes to him going to that league, I'm not surprised. He's always wanted to play Champions League football.
I was just about to say that.
For him,
that's the big
he's done everything he could do at Crystal Palace. He's a Crystal Palace legend. As far as I would think, I don't know about you guys, but hey, for now,
100%.
he leaves there. He leaves there, and it's probably better this way because you're better off leaving a club now than staying for too long, whether they hate you.
Yeah, but to give up the Saudi bag to take the Turkish bag, I don't know. It's if you're gonna
that's what I was thinking.
Like I'm sure there's clubs in the Premier League that would have paid him, that would have offered him good money, right? He's a really, really strong player. And that for him to have gone to Turkey, it's a bit of a strange one for sure.
I think it's a bit premature. Yeah. I agree.
No, but it's quality of life. Maybe he didn't want to go too far away from England.
Yeah,
Turkey's still 5-hour flight.
Yeah, it's still a bit of 5. But you know what it is though? Maybe because of the fact that, again, like I said to you, the beaches, the lifestyle, Turkey does give you that little kind of, that feeling of, you know what, it's typical Champions League football. Turkey's somewhat, got a couple of ballers in there now. So I don't know, man. I think for me, Saudi Arabia was there, but maybe his family, maybe his missus said, yo, listen, I prefer Turkey, you know what I mean? So, he's got a family to think about. So that's that, man. So fair play to him. That was a bit of side news there, but we're going to go back to Liverpool. What's going on, man? Lavia, what's the situation at Liverpool now? Because Henderson's gone. You know what I mean? In the sense of it's here we go, confirmed. What's the situation now with Lavia?
You know what's just so frustrating about my club, right? Weird reports come out today. Fabrizio reported that we're not trying to pay any more than 30 million for Lavia. Southampton are quoting 50 million. And if I'm being honest, because this is a player I followed for a long time, whether you think he's worth it or not, we need him. And with Chelsea and Arsenal, I'm not going to say they're as serious as us at this moment in time, but with Chelsea and Arsenal sniffing around, we need to wrap this up quickly. Just pay the 50 million because we're going to get 40 for Fabinho. Henderson's 12 million plus add-ons. So that funds the deal anyway. And apparently we've got separate money because the plan was always to bring in 2 midfielders anyway. But now both of them have gone. We have to. But the reason why this is going to annoy me, because I do believe, and I've said this many times, if Chelsea or Arsenal come in last minute for Lavia, I think he goes to either of the two teams ahead of us. The only thing we have in our favour is that people forgetting it's Euros at the end of the season, and that's going to be an incentive. And I do believe he walks into our team, whereas Arsenal and Chelsea, he don't start. If he goes there, I think he'll be an understudy to their central midfielders.
He's not coming to Arsenal anymore. Don't worry about that.
You never know. I don't think you lot will sign him, but you never know. I just feel at this moment in time, if you lot do show strong interest towards the end of the season, the longer we take, I do think he'll favour you lot. But the only thing is, I think he wants to start. He wants to prove himself at a top 6 club. And I think that's why it could be an advantage to us. But I just want to wrap this up quickly now because I don't know why we're haggling over 20 mil difference. Just pay the money. It's not like we have that luxury where we've already got 6s where, he can come and be an understudy. Because the plan originally was to be an understudy to Fabinho. Hendo was supposed to go and Fabinho was actually supposed to stay. But again, we were just speaking. When you get offered that money from Saudi, and that's the same money that we I've not heard about this. Big up Ryan, by the way. But
See, I've not heard of it. Yeah, big up. Let me research this. I didn't know. Maybe that's a rule. Like pit bulls are not allowed.
It could be, and especially two people have now said this in the stream. This
Are you giving up 40 million over a couple of dogs? That's loyalty, bro.
It's crazy.
So basically,
it's also what we paid for him. The fact we're getting back what we paid for him, I don't know why we're hicking and haggling over Lavia. We just need to pay this 50 million. I think the longer we take, the less likely this deal becomes. Apparently.
I don't think you're going to pay.
Actually, a real law. I'm looking at it right now. No,
you only allow guard dogs anyway. You know what I mean? You can't if you want a dog in Saudi Arabia, you have to have it as a guard dog. So that's one of the rules as well. So again, it just depends how obviously he wants to keep his dogs in it. People like for dogs, it's part of their lives. It's something that they cherish. So it's part of the family. You know what I mean? For some people. So listen, I don't know what that situation was. You know what I mean? I'm sure there'll be some sort of way around it because, like I said, there's so many things that I've been doing in Saudi Arabia now that you would not have thought would happen 10, 20 years ago. So we don't know yet. We just have to see, you know what I mean, and what happens in that sense.
I said if we want to just pay 30 for Lavia, I feel like we'll have to chuck a player in. Maybe, I don't know if you don't even know this player, but maybe a Tyler Morton. They play similar positions. They're playing that 6/8 role. But I can't see my club just paying the 50 million. This is the worrying thing. This is why I think this is going to be prolonged. I think if we do sign Lavia, it'll probably be towards the back end of the transfer window now because we're trying to get it down. We don't believe his valuation is 50 million. And normally we're a club where if we don't believe we should pay a valuation, we just don't. It's not like we're historically like the Chelseas and the Uniteds where teams will essentially bump you. You won't believe a player's worth that, but you still pay the odds. This is where in the last few years, we've got players on our terms, but the way the modern market's going, you just have to pay up. And I think Southampton will stand firm. I know they're in the Championship, but I think they're going to stand firm on this 50 million, but I can't see us paying it, to be fair. And the only way I think it's feasible, I think if we chuck in Tyler Morton to this deal, 30 million plus the Tyler Morton, I think they bat our hands off. I think the deal gets done straight away, but it's just annoying me, man. Lavia should be a Liverpool player now.
Lads,
real quick. Enough to be starting for Liverpool week in, week out yet.
Lads, I'm about to bounce. I have to go get ready for work. But bless up everybody that's on the channel. Big up every single person that's there in the chat. Don't be pagans, fam. Slap that like button. Keep doing it until your fingers fall off. You understand? Facts. Yeah. Big up Chelsea. Big up everybody that's up, bro. Gareth Southgate out. Bless up.
Bless up, man. Make sure you're following people. Man knows football on that side, man. But you know what it is for me though? It's a critical. It's like Chelsea. They're dilly-dallying around a position that they know they have to fill. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, Lavia for me. You know what's crazy? Yeah, would I spend 18 million on Paulinho knowing that I'm getting 4 years out of him, or do you go and get a player who wouldn't be starting for Liverpool anyway, and he's what 19, and you're gonna pay 50-odd million for potential? Like, where do you want to look at? Because I feel like for me, he could be a destroyer for a couple of years. And listen, man, like you think about the future when it gets to it, man. Like right now, maybe Bajcetic by then could be that 6 that maybe you kind of wanted and whatnot. So I would go get Paulinho and pay that money. I don't know.
I can't remember who our owners are. We're just not good. With me, I'm quite realistic. I just know I would love Paulinho is actually one of my first options to him or Caicedo, right? If you ask me who I would want, forget Klopp, forget FSG, they're my first two. Caicedo or Paulinho, they'll be perfect for us. But I know my club, I know my ownership, I know our regime. It's just not happening. We're not going to spend that type of money. I know people might say, but when you needed Dijk, when you needed Alisson, you signed them. But that was fees by the Coutinho money. It's not like we just did that off the bat. We only signed them because we got in that amount of money. So we don't go out. The only player that we did just go and sign for a big amount of money was Darwin Núñez. That's the only one in recent history I can think, you know what? And that's a position we didn't even necessarily need. So it was just backwards anyway. The one time we do go and break the bank is for a position we don't actually need. But I would like a Paulinho Caicedo, but I know we're not going to pay that much. So I don't really try and entertain it. I'm being more realistic, thinking about the Florentino Luizes, the Amrabats, the Lavias that are feasible that we can actually pay for. But right now, it's looking at Lavia isn't feasible for us because we're not. Someone's saying Sabozda, but again, that's because we had to. We're selling with Milner going, Keita going, Ox going, all our midfielders going. We had to. So when we have to, we do. That's okay, cool. In recent history, I'd say him and Nunes, then they're two players we did break the bank that we actually need. But it's not a regular thing. You don't see this happen at Liverpool every summer. But the Lavia stuff side it's just annoying me. In my opinion, I do feel he comes in and starts, but I'd want him to come in with someone that does have experience, like a Lavia and an Amrabat. I wouldn't want him to come solely, because I think if that happens, it doesn't really make that much sense, especially with Trent. I believe Trent was going to start on the right, but I now believe Klopp's going to play him in that 6th role. He played him against Carl's Russia the other day. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think
in the 6th, Roms.
Yeah, I think Klopp is actually going to go Trent in the 6th now. He started him
Wow.
against that German team.
That's mad.
I don't think he's going to go back, because there's talks that we're even looking to sign a right back now. And I think Klopp is actually adamant on Trent playing in that 6. Honestly,
Bro, but does he think
one second, can't defend on the right? Well, how's he going to defend in the 6?
Facts.
His positional sense, maybe, and the fact that he's so good on the ball.
A lot of our fans, the back end of last season, our running, it was good, but it was against teams that were worse than us, that let us have the ball. The one example is first half against Arsenal, didn't let us have the ball. They swarmed Trent. He looked uncomfortable. Even Aston Villa. Aston Villa's the one game shot in our last 8 games that we didn't win. Why? Because they swarmed us. They swarmed our midfield and Trent looked uncomfortable. Me personally, I still think Trent should start at right back and then naturally go into that inverted role. However, there's fans screaming for him to start in that 6. I don't believe he has the awareness to start in that 6 role, because to start in a role and naturally move into a role are 2 different things. But I think Klopp is adamant on Trent in that 6, because in our preseason games, we've only had 1, and it will be very telling because we play tomorrow against, I forgot that they're German 2nd division team again, but we play tomorrow, and I do feel...
Again, why are you playing these low-level teams, man? Who are you not playing like? What's going on here? The only
high-caliber team we have is Bayern Munich in our running. But,
bro, you're playing first.
At least you get to play,
then
mate.
At least you get to play. You're playing I know, yeah. I think Tottenham, what happened to you lot? What happened?
Listen, I'm like, I'll criticize Daniel Levy as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to blame him for the weather. But I will blame him for selecting 2 of our preseason friendlies in the middle of monsoon season and sticking us geographically in the area where monsoons are. We're in Thailand today. The game gets washed out. And then in a couple of days' time, we got to go and play, I don't know, some pub team like the Red Sailors or whatever they're called in Singapore, which is only an hour north, is absolutely tipping it down up there as well. Like, whoever thought it was, Daniel Levy, whoever it is, he said, let's go and
You didn't have a preseason game at all?
No, we've had one. We played West Ham in Perth in Australia, and then they've flown to Singapore, flown to Thailand rather, and that one was washed out today. In a few days' time, we're going to Singapore, which the weather forecast is atrocious for that as well. Because you know what? That's what happens in July in that part of the world. And then after that, we fly home and we got to play Shakhtar Donetsk at home. But then we got a game a couple of days later against Barcelona. Like, honest to God, the setup, you're setting up Ange Postecoglou to fail. You're asking this guy to like train an entire group of people to play an entirely new system, and you're sending him to parts of the world where not just the game, but the training sessions are washed out as well. It's insane.
Really?
It's insane.
That's mad.
So annoying.
Honestly, though, it's brand exposure. He doesn't really care.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who saw the game today? Like the crowd, there was no one in the stadium because the stadium had no roof on it. So everyone that was like, all the locals in Thailand were like, I ain't going. I'm not going to that, even if the game is playing. Like, there's no point. It's terrible. It's I don't know. It's Tottenham's preseason is a bit of a shambles, if I'm honest. We've got the glaring obvious holes in our squad. We need 2 centre backs. We've been talking about Van der Ven and Tapsoba for 36 days. We haven't signed either of them.
Man. I was going to ask you.
It went so good. It went so good, and then it's kind of gone flat a bit for Tottenham, innit? Like, it was going so good. Maddison, you know what I mean? You're getting these little players here and there, the keeper. And then now it's just kind of gone flat where it's like, you're waiting for this Harry Kane. I reckon it's just this Harry Kane is just kind of casting over your transfer window. And it needs to be sorted sooner rather than later, because his wife was in Germany yesterday, apparently. Was she in Germany?
Apparently. I don't know. The German press are shameless with their PR on this one.
One of them got banned, didn't it?
What do you think of the kit? What do you think of the kit?
If I was entirely honest, it looked pretty cool. It did look cool. Kane 9 on the back of the Munich shirt. Listen, I don't care. If he wants to go, and the fact that he hasn't been allowed to speak to the press once, the fact that he's been on none of the PR content, the fact that even on Spurs Play, which is our own controlled media, he still doesn't get any kind of any minutes with the people who can control the conversation. To me, it screams very loud and clear that he wants out. And if Munich pay the right number, £68 million, 85 million euros is the only number, the highest number so far. At that level, you might as well roll the dice and keep him, because if his goals gets you to the Champions League, then you're going to make that money back anyway. But if you go up a little bit more to like 85, 90 million pound, then I think you let him go. You have to let him go. He doesn't want to be here. And to lose him next summer on a free is gross incompetence on the part of our chairman. If Kane has said he wants out, and if Bayern Munich pay a fee that's reasonable, then shake hands, get it done. Move on.
Because next summer as well, if you was to lose Kane next summer on the free, Chelsea, you're going to have to kind of pay the type of money next summer that you could have got for Kane this summer anyway. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he's being penny wise and pound foolish. Daniel Levy.
Whatever you do, the opposite is going to be used against you.
Of course. So make a decision. Make a decision to make a decision, but make the answer one where you've at least got 80 million quid that you're gonna probably waste anyway. Tottenham have got a horrible track record of spending money, but I'd rather have the money to misspend it than not have the money at all.
Yeah, to not have the money at all. Yeah, listen, we'll see, man. I think it's going to be a long saga for Tottenham and whatnot. So we're gonna have to just wait and see, man. So yeah, man. But now, guys, we have wrapped up here. Still 2,000 people here, which is insane for this sort of show and Super Sunday, new show on a Sunday, 3 p.m. Big up to everybody who's locked in. We've just gone past 800 likes. Can we get to 1,000? Guys, I know, even if you're a hater, man, just like the video. Like, if you're watching right now and you're hating, just like the video just for the sake of it, man. You know what I'm saying? So big up to everyone who's in here. People say Mbappe. Listen, that Mbappe one is it's a long chat, man. So we'll definitely talk about it another time, man. Igal, big up to you, man, for coming on, bro. Love, man.
No worries. You have a good one, bro.
Yeah, man. Make sure you follow him. Igal's Talks Football. Roms, big up to you, man. Love for coming on, man.
Come on. Big up every time side. Yeah. Never a Foul, Big Six Bench, Jerry James Show. That's where you'll catch me. Them 3 channels.
Yeah, of course. You already shouted me out, so I didn't even want to say it. But Eagle Talks Football, guys. Don't forget it.
Yeah, there you go, man. Make sure you support his channel. And Sean, big up to you, man, for slotting in, bro. Love that.
Appreciate you guys. You find me at Spurs Talk Show. Appreciate you, mate. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, man. Anytime, people. I'll be back later on, people, 9 p.m. for the United show. We're talking about Hoyland, and Martial and a couple others, man. So, like I said, join us. Man United Unfiltered show, 9 p.m. We're out.